12,000 years ago, the world was not what we think it was. Before pyramids, before kings, before history itself. Something else stood in its place. A forgotten world, hidden beneath layers of myth, ice, and silence. The official timeline begins around 4000 BC. But what happened before that? Why do cultures across oceans share myths of floods, fire, and gods descending from the stars? The Sumerians called them the Anunnaki. The Egyptians, the Neteru. The Maya spoke of sky people. Different names, same tale. Powerful visitors from beyond, teachers, rulers, or something more. Evidence is everywhere, yet it is ignored. Structures that defy explanation, tools more advanced than their time, stories too similar to be coincidence. From Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, to sunken pyramids near Japan, to the ice-locked anomalies of Antarctica. These are not random ruins. They are scattered memories of a once-connected world. They called it the Golden Age, a time of peace, wisdom, and connection to the stars. But it ended in fire, water, and darkness. The cause? Some say a comet, others a war between gods, or perhaps the misuse of knowledge. Whatever it was, it shattered everything. What survived were fragments, myths, symbols, and ruins no one understands. But the earth remembers, and beneath our feet, it waits to be rediscovered. We call it prehistory. But it may be the key to everything, to who we were and who we're meant to become again. This is the beginning of our journey, one that stretches beyond time, beneath stone, and into the silence before memory. The lie is old, but the truth is eternal. Across the world stand ancient monuments we cannot explain, not just because they are large, but because they are impossible. Stones too heavy to move, alignments too precise to be chance. Take Baalbek, Lebanon, where a single stone weighs over 1,000 tons, or the Great Pyramid, aligned perfectly to true north. No modern crane could place them. Yet they stand. How did they do it? Theories range from lost technology to acoustic levitation to help from above. Whatever the answer, it's not in our textbooks. Ancient legends say these builders were guided by the stars. They watched the sky, recorded the heavens, and built as above, so below. At sites like Teotihuacan, Giza, and Angkor Wat, the layout mirrors celestial formations. Coincidence or global memory of a forgotten science? But these weren't just temples. They were transmitters, gateways of stone and symbol, connecting sky and earth, and perhaps more. We find the same symbols across continents, spirals, hands, stars, serpents. It's as if they all remembered something, or someone. And always, the flood, the cataclysm that ended it all. Maybe not a single event, but a cycle, a warning carved in stone. Those who survived passed down stories, myths wrapped in metaphor. But the message remained: this has happened before, it will happen again. So we ask again, who were they? Engineers, prophets, visitors from beyond, or our ancestors, wiser than we dare believe? Before the flood, there was a world of wonder, not primitive, not scattered, but unified, connected by stars, stories, and stone. From the highlands of Peru to the plains of Turkey, signs of an organized world emerge. Trade, astronomy, engineering, far beyond what we once believed possible. Göbekli Tepe, a place older than any pyramid, aligned with the sky. Who built it, and why? Did they bury it? These people understood cycles, the turning of stars, the rise and fall of suns. They saw something coming, and they prepared. In legends, the sky turned red, the earth shook, the oceans rose. This was not just a myth, this was a memory. Some escaped, most did not. The survivors became the seed of our myths, the bearers of fire and knowledge. Every culture remembers them, the 7 sages, the white-bearded ones, gods or refugees of a fallen world. They taught language, math, architecture, as if restarting civilization from ash, not as inventors, but as rememberers. But even memory fades. Over millennia, stories turned to symbols, and truth became legend. Yet the ruins remain. The stars have not forgotten, and neither should we. It began with a tremor beneath the sea, then a roar in the sky. The ancients watched the stars and knew the end was coming. The comet struck with fire and ice, mountains cracked, oceans boiled, cities vanished in a single night, swallowed by water and ash. What was lost was everything: knowledge, memory, connection. The great silence fell, a silence that would last thousands of years. And yet, not all was gone. A few survivors, scattered across the earth, began again. They spoke in fragments, in dreams, in sacred stories. These were the keepers of the memory. They knew what had come before, and what must never be forgotten. Over time, their words became myths, their names became gods, their warnings became prophecy. But the world moved on, new empires rose, and with time, the silence deepened, until only ruins remained, and stars waiting to be read again. In every flood myth, there is a whisper. This has happened before. It will happen again. The silence was not the end, it was the pause before remembering, and the story has just begun. Even in silence, the earth remembers. Beneath fields and forests, buried in stone and ice, the echoes remain. Every ancient site is a sentence in a forgotten language, a message carved in stone, waiting to be read again. Why do so many of these sites align with the stars? Orion, Sirius, the Pleiades. They were not decorating, they were remembering. At the heart of these monuments is a secret, not just where they point, but why they point there. They encoded knowledge in geometry, number, and sound, frequencies once used to build and to heal. This was not mysticism, it was science, forgotten, a blueprint not of cities but of consciousness. The ancients did not just build, they encoded memory. Every pillar, every glyph, an echo of a world now lost. And perhaps they knew, one day we would return, not with certainty but with questions. The stones are not silent, we simply forgot how to listen. And when we begin to remember, the world will begin to change again. For thousands of years, we walked among ruins, not knowing what we had lost. Stones stood in silence, but not because they had nothing to say. Then something shifted. The stars realigned, and we began to ask again, what happened here? In the carvings, patterns, in the myths, fragments, in the earth, a story waiting to be uncovered. The ancients did not write history. They carved memory into the world itself. Each monument is a voice, each alignment a whisper, and now we are finally listening. From the Andes to the Himalayas, the message is the same. We were here, we knew, remember us. Not every ruin is ancient, some are recent, but they all echo the same longing. To the ancients, time was not linear, but circular. The past does not stay buried forever. When the stones begin to speak again, it is not the world that is changing. It is us. Perhaps the silence was not a punishment, but an invitation. A chance to listen and to remember what we once were. Long before paper, before ink, the earth itself was the page. They wrote with stone, not for us, but for the future. These symbols were not decorations. They were maps, formulas, truths hidden in plain sight. The ruins do not shout, they whisper. Only those who slow down can hear them. Some ruins speak with precision, like a machine that remembers how it once worked. Others speak in dreams. In Peru, glyphs stretch for miles across dry plains. In Siberia, stone heads emerge from tundra fog. What were they trying to say? Across every continent, they left messages, and all of them point not outward, but inward. They did not speak in paragraphs, they spoke in symbols, and silence was part of the sentence. Perhaps they knew that memory doesn't live in words, it lives in places, in the space between stars and stone. Today we stand among these ruins again, and slowly we begin to remember what we were never told. The earth is speaking again, not with thunder, but with memory, and the ruins are the voice of time. The ancients were not just builders. They were memory keepers, architects of silence and stone. They knew the power of placement. Every stone had a reason, every shadow a purpose. Temples were not places of worship. They were machines of memory, turning light into meaning. We think of them as primitive. But what if their brilliance was not in what they built, but what they understood? They encoded knowledge into form, form into ritual, and ritual into time itself. They knew sound could shape matter. That frequency could speak to the earth itself. In every corner of the earth, these echoes remain. Patterns, structures, alignments too precise to ignore. Their architecture was not made to impress the eye, but to awaken the soul. You don't walk into these places, you remember your way back to them. They built not for their time, but for a future that would forget. And one day remember, not everything lies buried in sand. Some truths are frozen beneath miles of silence. What lies beneath Antarctica may not be just ice, but memory, sealed in cold for a time when we are ready. Satellite scans hint at shapes too perfect to be natural. Rings, tunnels, pillars no storm could carve. The ancients spoke of a land where gods walked beneath the stars, a place lost to flood, frost, and fear. Some say this land was the cradle of knowledge, not Atlantis, but something older. And above this buried world, the stars still sing the same songs, songs of alignment, of memory, of return. We search the heavens for answers, but perhaps the sky is not above, it is beneath us. The ancients built downward as well as upward. What they hid was not to be locked away. It was to be rediscovered. Perhaps the answers were never lost, only delayed, waiting for our eyes to open again. And so we return to the silence, but now we do not fear it, because beneath it, something ancient stirs. In every story of the end there is fire, fire that destroys but also awakens. The ancients feared the fire, not because it burned, but because it remembered. To them, fire was a teacher, a purifier, a keeper of the old codes. In caves, in towers, in circles of stone, they lit flames that were never meant to go out. And yet, they went out, one by one, until only embers remained. But embers are not endings, they are beginnings, waiting for breath. And now we breathe again. We ask the old questions, we walk the forgotten roads. The fire was never lost, it lived in the ruins, and in us. This story is not just about the past. It is about what comes next. The lie lasted 12,000 years, but the truth was never gone, only waiting for you to remember.